This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome to Usapang Bayan. Ako po si George Chua kasama ang aking co-host na si Rich Marquez. Pag-uusapan po natin ang mga mahahalagang pangyayari at issue na kinahaharap ng ating bansa.
Makakasama po natin sa gabing ito ang Special Envoy of the President to the OIC, former Tawi-Tawi Governor Tillah. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome, and we're so happy to have you here with us, Governor. Siguro ho, umpisan ho natin ipaliwanag sa ating mga tagapanood, sino po ho ba si Special Envoy Tillah?
Well, the President had me harnessed January 1, 2016, Special Envoy to the Organization of Islamic Countries, now Islamic Cooperation. That is the mini actually United Nations of the Islamic world, numbering 57 member states. And OIC is so popular, especially in our country, because of the peace process. They were able to, as an institution, able to get the Muslim rebellion in resolution in terms of the autonomy, provision or formula. And since then, we have not seen that great war again in Mindanao. And of course, late is the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which the President just received from the group that drafted this, and this will not be brought to the Congress of the Philippines, I think, after the SONA, the State of the Nation address of the President.
Sir, you were also, prior to this position, you were also involved in government service.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that background, where you're originally from, your stint as governor?
Thank
and
you,
things like
thank you. Well, I hail from the southernmost tip of the country, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. My mother's side is Tawi-Tawi, where I became governor during the time of Cory Aquino. And of course, Sulu, where I grew up, born and raised. We are closer to Borneo or Malaysia than even to Zamboanga City. And that's how far and how remote Sulu and Tawi-Tawi as provinces of the country. It's an archipelagic, area. And since my UP days, I've always been in touch with my roots in both Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. Attended economics, public administration, and management at the University of the Philippines. And henceforth, I started working with government, more on government, because I really want to serve our people in any way I can, especially Mindanao. But in between, after martial law, I didn't like martial law. So I went to the private sector. We got involved with the Ayala group of companies, Don Enrique Zobel, may he rest in peace, was the one who invited me to come to enter the private sector. And of course, NGO, we were in the Cooperative Foundation of the Philippines, Boy Morales, and many other involvements. It's a two-page resume I just gave you. Actually, it's condensed from a five-page for the president's, perusal when I gave it to him when he was president-elect in Davao City.
Sir, you mentioned a while ago about
Yes.
BBL.
Yes.
The President earlier said he will certify the bill as urgent. How
Yes.
significant is this measure in attaining peace in Mindanao?
Well, we have to backtrack a little in terms of how documents or agreements like this help in enhancing the peace in the South. No? During the presidency of the late President Ferdinand Marcos, we had the Triple Agreement signed in Libya. Then after that, we had the Jeddah Accord with President Cory Aquino, almost every 10 years or so. Then, that was in 1987. Then we have the final so-called peace agreement with President Ramos in 1996. And now we have this Bangsamoro Basic Law. By the way, I participated in many of the discussions because I was consultant advisor to Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, who chaired the Committee on Local Government, so I was their consultant, and I helped in facilitating many of these, and including the good intention and move of Bongbong to have it as an inclusive kind of agreement. Before it was exclusive. In other words, many of the sectors of our society were excluded from the Malacanang version during Pinoy's time, but it was re-engineered in such a manner that it will include all the major stakeholders in Mindanao. So this now is better version than what was crafted by Malacanang during Pinoy's time.
Maybe Al, you can explain to our audience what is yung mga salient features or the differences of the BBL during the time of the former President Pinoy as compared to the current version under President Duterte.
May I just add to
Yes,
that, sir? Kasi you earlier said that the BBL fails to include other stakeholders such as the LUMADs and armed groups in the consultation process. Does that mean to say na yung current version po ng BBL already included these groups?
Very inclusive. This is what I discussed early on as consultant advisor of the committee chaired by Senator Bongbong Marcos, and he so agreed that it has to be inclusive. So we had the Lumads invited, the Sultanate of Sulu and the other royal houses were invited for the first time, and NGOs, young Muslim professionals, academe, and of course the local leaders in the respective areas. So this version is much better than was originally crafted by Malacanang during Pinoy's time.
Ano ho yung mga features na pagkakaiba ho nila? Specifically, may mga examples ho ba kayo?
Well, by and large, it's still an autonomous kind of setup, no? Many people oftentimes mistake it for independence or, separating themselves from the mainstream. No, it is still within the framework of the Philippine Constitution and the territorial integrity of our country. All the provisions there are in that kind of, arrangement. And so when we were discussing this, based on the inputs of all the sectors, it was a very dynamic, series of discussions from Faraway, Tawi, Jolo, Sulu, Zamboanga, Cotabato, Marawi, no? We went through all those areas, no? And what we have there is actually an enrichment, enhancing the autonomous structure we have had during President Marcos' time, followed by Cory, Ramos, Estrada, Gloria, and Pinoy. So maganda ito na enhance, no? And of course, we have now the key player in this BBL, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, yung the Tripoli Agreement, Jeddah Accord, and the Jakarta-Manila Agreement. mainly was with the Moro National Liberation Front. Yun pagkaiba. Now, the MNLF in some way or some ways are involved through some of the members who have been involved in the crafting of this bill.
Putting the question the other way around.
Yes.
What can the local autonomous government do that it cannot do now without this BBL? Ano ho bang mga examples na pwede nilang gawin na hindi nila pwedeng gawin ngayon pero after that BBL is passed, they can now do?
Well, you have to go back to the local government code. The main principal author, Senator Nene Aquilino Pimentel, already has that kind of formula for local governance. Now, because the situation in Mindanao is much, much different from Visayas and Luzon and Metro Manila, because this is a product of the war in the South to address that concern. And so, there are flexibilities in terms of not only governance, but even support services. Before this, and I was even at UP, we had the lowest percentage of literacy. I think it was only 22% during my time, no? May mga, siguro mga 20 lang kami that time at UP, no? Now, hundreds of students. Chairman Miswari was my senior, so with many others, no? In the past. And this bill will be closely scrutinized by both the two houses of Congress, the lower house and the Senate. And I myself want to have a copy of it so I can maybe input or even help enhance it, you know, the way we have gone through this for what, over almost half a century, because the first agreement was in 1976. It started from 76 to 2017, easily, what, almost half a century. So siguro marami naman tayong lessons learned. So we have to go through that learning curve, no, as in economics, to learn from the sad lessons of history so we can move forward.
Well, we need to have a station break sa amin pong
Thank you.
pagbabalik. Makakasama pa rin natin si former Tawi-Tawi Governor and current Special Envoy of the President to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Governor Tillah. Please stay tuned.